The definition of the word altruism is selfless concern for the well-being of others without care for one's own interests, unselfishness. We are taught that it is a good thing to be altruistic. In fact, that's a goal for many people, to be altruistic. I question that. I question not only whether that is an attainable goal, but I also question whether that's a healthy goal, whether that's a goal that somebody should even strive toward or attempt. Turning away from your own self-interest in order that you can serve the interests of other people doesn't make a lot of sense. From a magical point of view, desire is the catalyst of everything. If our desire is to turn off our own self-interest and serve other people, our actions are misguided. The infinite works through our desires. Ultimately, that which feels good is what we go toward, and that which doesn't feel good, we avoid. However, the ego mind, being what it is, has convinced us that many of the things that are painful to us actually feel good, and that many of the things that feel good to us are uncomfortable. Therefore, our own self-interest has been denied in favor of a false sense of self. The infinite extends itself as you. You are like your creator in that you extend yourself, and so on and so on. And that's how creation expands. That's how the universe is constantly expanding. It's one loving thought after the next loving thought after the next loving thought. It feels good to extend love to other people. It feels good to forgive. It feels good to be of service to other people. That feels good. That's natural to feel good. Now, when the ego gets involved, its programming is that of self-destruction. So, of course, it would make sense that in order for us to be self-destructive, that we go against our nature, that we go against that which feels good. And the only way to do that is for us to convince ourselves that that which feels good is painful, is strife, is difficult, is hard. And that which is painful is now something that we strive for, that actually feels good. The old image of monks flagellating themselves for penance. They had to convince themselves that flagellation felt good. They were doing something good. God was happy they were flagellating themselves. It's not natural to harm yourself and to say, ooh, that feels good. That's learned behavior. It's not only those monks acting out like that. We all act out like this. We all act like what is painful is pleasurable, and what is pleasurable is to be avoided. To desire altruism is a fool's errand. To say, I'm going to turn away from self-interest, I'm going to turn away from that which feels good in order to serve another person, is to turn away from the source of your life. The source of who you are as a soul brings with it the guidance necessary to exist in any situation and to move through any situation. And that guidance has to be trusted. And the only way that guidance can be trusted is if we learn to trust that what feels good actually feels good, and what doesn't feel good actually doesn't feel good. That we learn discernment, and we learn how to listen with keen interest to that still small voice within us that is always guiding us to where we need to be in any situation. When you forgive someone, it automatically feels good on the other side of it, a weight lifted off your shoulder. When you help someone who is in need, it feels wonderful. And if it doesn't feel wonderful, you shouldn't do it. If it doesn't feel wonderful, then you're not getting the guidance to do it. But before we can get to the point where we can trust that our guidance is guiding us, we have to be willing to be taught. We have to be willing to unlearn the belief systems that we've swallowed whole. Up is down, left is right, pain is pleasure, pleasure is pain. We have to be initiated into the reality of the world. We knew as little babies what felt good. We knew as babies what to trust and what not to trust. When something didn't feel good, we'd scream and cry until we got what we wanted. And unless you become like a little child, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven. What's the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is that place within you where you are provided for. Everything works out for you. And that's the guidance system. That's the kingdom of heaven. And unless you're like a little child, you're not going to be able to trust that guidance. No, this feels good. No, this doesn't feel good. I want more of this. No, I don't want more of this. We have to allow ourselves to be retrained as to what our self-interest really is. The infinite wants us to operate out of self-interest because it understands that when you're listening to your own self-interest, your self-interest is connected to the interest of everyone around you. Everyone benefits when you put yourself first. In trying to become adults in this world, we misunderstand what that means. We grow up becoming more egoic and less like our souls. We go along with social norms that are not always healthy. We go along with mythologies that are not always healthy. We believe what we were taught as children by authority figures that are not always healthy and that are at odds with our self-interest. We've convinced ourselves that certain things feel good that don't feel good, and that certain things feel bad that actually feel good. Until we are willing to be purified of those misconceptions, we'll never understand our self-interest. This idea that in order to be a good person, you have to deny your own self-interest and help other people is so off the mark, so unnatural. And it's something that we need to stop. Altruism comes from the idea that you deny yourself. If you start from the premise that I'm denying myself in order to help other people, what you're doing is not helping. You're bringing your self-denial into the situation, and you're actually making things worse, not better. But if you listen to that still small voice within you, and you understand what is your self-interest, what do you want? What are your true desires, not the lusts that you've been convinced feel good? There's no value judgment on what you think is pleasure and pain. What I'm saying is that until we are purified and understand what it is that we truly desire, rather than what we've convinced ourselves that we desire, what we've been taught to desire, or what our neuroses have manifested as desires, until we've purified ourselves of those things, that's called being born again or being initiated, until we've gone through that, the last thing we need is to be helpful. I'm really screwed up and I have absolutely no idea what I really want. So I'm going to turn off what little bit of understanding of my desires that I have, and I'm going to go out and help people. That's not helpful. When we have purified ourselves of these erroneous ideas of what we desire and what we don't desire, and we start to get a glimpse of true self-interest, we understand that my self-interest is very helpful, even without me thinking about it as being helpful. When I'm doing what I came here to do, when I'm doing what makes my heart sing, when I'm doing the things that give my soul pleasure, everyone benefits. But how can you call that altruism? Denying yourself is not what's happening. Denying yourself is not part of the equation when you are truly embracing your soul's journey. In fact, self-interest is everything. This idea that self-interest is harmful to other people is the problem, because we are not connecting to our soul's desires. We are connecting to our ego's lusts, and we are mistaking the two. And they're not that difficult to discern. It just takes time and it takes practice to be able to discern what's a soul desire and what's an ego's lust. For one thing, the soul's desire always happens within the context of peace. You're able to relax in the presence of your soul's desire and still feel ecstasy about it. It's an ecstatic feeling of joy experienced in the presence of peace. Whereas the ego's lusts are always accompanied by tension, and the ego's lusts are fleeting. The ego's lusts end, and then you got to get another fix. The soul's desires are eternal, and you don't need a fix because they are self-perpetuating and constantly expanding. Your desire to be an artist is not a fix that you get. Your desire to be a musician or to sing, it's not a fix that you get. It's a constant desire to become better and better at what you do. This idea of altruism, in my personal opinion, is something that is best dumped. Get rid of it, tear it up, toss it away. Not healthy, not good, does not come from the infinite. It's nonsense. Now, some people can look at what a person does and say they are so altruistic. All they do is lay down their life for the service of humanity. But they don't know that. They're just judging by appearances. If it's truly service and they are truly making a difference, that person's really enjoying doing this. They get great joy from it. It's ecstasy for them. They want nothing more than this, what they're doing. It's not altruism. It makes them tick. It makes them get up in the morning. They inspire people. There's no altruism in that. Altruism. What a silly concept. I'm going to deny myself for other people. What nonsense. It's better not to help people for a while and get clear on yourself, to understand what your soul's desires are, and stop being so helpful until you get your priorities straight. Because if your own priorities are not straight, what you're calling helping is more like interfering. You don't need to figure out your life's purpose. Your life's purpose is in you. The only time you're off your soul's desire is when you're operating from what you think you should do in order to be a better person or to be a responsible person, etc. But if you're operating from your soul's desires, from your true desires, not only are you going to be happy and contribute, but you will be responsible. We've convinced ourselves that this upside-down world that we live in is normal. But once you say, wait a minute, not so fast, I'm going to pull back, I'm going to stop believing everything that my senses are reporting to me just for a few minutes a day, and let spirit recalibrate for me and wake me up to the reality of who I am. You're going to understand that you're a desire machine. Everything you do runs off of desire. Desire's not bad. The true desires of your heart are there to be manifest. That's their purpose. The true desires of your heart, when they are manifest, are good for everyone. They're good for everyone, whether or not you understand how. In fact, it's sometimes better if you don't know how. A lot of times it's so much better if you're just part of the mystery. Because when you look back in retrospect, you say, wow, look at that. Everything worked out so well. I'm so glad I didn't know what I was doing because I would have messed it up. I would have had a bright idea that got in the way of all of this. So a lot of times your genius is better left to its own devices because your surface mind thinks it's smarter than it is. And the surface mind tends to thwart our genius. The ego mind is there to participate in fecal alchemy, turning wonderful things into caca. That's its job. Once we recognize that, we don't fall victim to it anymore. We just let those thoughts be the way they are, and we don't follow those trains of thoughts. We allow ourselves to listen to that still small voice within us. We allow ourselves to learn what the true desires of our heart feel like versus those fleeting lusts and addictions of the ego, and start to discern between the two. And when we do that, we understand this has nothing to do with altruism, turning away from self-interest in order to help other people. Don't fall for it. Do not let anybody ever try to convince you that altruism is healthy for you, because it's not. If you're working within your true will, not only will you not go up against the true will of another, because it's impossible, but your true will is going to foster an environment where the true will of other people thrives. Forgiving other people, people think that's altruistic, then you're not doing it right. You forgive people because it feels good. You forgive people out of self, self-interest because it makes your life better, not theirs. Their life is none of your business. Helping people get food who are starving feels good. That's self-interest. Helping people find homes who are homeless feels good. That's self-interest. You're better off because of that. Of course, they're better off, but ultimately that's not your business. Your business is to do what you're called to do and let the chips fall where they may with everybody else. That's not up to you to force. And it's definitely not up to you to turn away from self-interest in order to serve them. All you're going to be doing is hurting them and yourself. What's important more than anything for us is to understand that true self-interest is a sacred thing. Walking a sacred path. It's not the same me with a small m that the ego is. It's the I am. And that is who? That is the creator itself. I am. That's the only part of the creator that you have access to is I am. Not you are, not they are. Turn away from I am in order to help them. What blasphemy. What blasphemy that is. Because it doesn't come from a connection to the infinite. It doesn't come from truth. It comes from an ego, surface mind trying to deny you and attack them under the guise of being helpful and altruistic. Spend some time this next week in relaxation and contemplation and just ask that the divine design of your life reveal itself to you. And listen, what feels good? What truly feels good? Ask that you find discernment between the desires of your heart versus the lusts and addictions of your ego. Ask that you have discernment. When you have that discernment, you can't be messed with. Nobody's going to be able to mess with you. Anybody that's manipulative can only manipulate you through your ego addictions. They cannot manipulate you through your true will. It's impossible. So you're unmanipulatable when you are free from the misconceptions of what pain versus pleasure are. And only you get to determine that. You and that still small voice within you. Nobody else can. That's you. It's all about you. I am. How can you be altruistic and say I am is God? How is that even possible? I am. The holy I. It's not the small me of the ego. It's the infinite expressing itself as you. And it's going to express itself as you through a tempest of desire. Your heart will be filled with ecstatic desire of what you are here to do, be, and have. And that's how you know that still small voice has been listened to. You unleash this torrent of desire. And that desire is there to be fulfilled. But if you're saying, no, turn off that fountain, I got to go help those people over there, you are off the mark. Don't buy it. It's bad. It's wrong. It's unhealthy. It's a trick. It's a trick of the ego. I am. You have everything within you that you need. That's easy to say and hard to sometimes believe. But if you spend time and ask that your true will be revealed to you, you'll see that it's absolutely true for you. One of the reasons why we have such a hard time discerning between pleasure and pain is because we have been taught that it's excruciatingly painful to be at peace. I need input. I need activity. I can't sit in peace. It's excruciatingly painful. The most pleasurable thing for you is sitting in the presence of the infinite in a place of peace where all your needs are met. The ego cannot exist in peace. Peace only can exist in the present moment. The ego can only exist in the past and the future, which means it's not real. And since the ego only exists in the past and the future, and it's not real, anything you do to get you involved in the present moment and undistracted allows you to understand the unreality of the ego in that moment. Then you are plugged into that desire and you know what to do. That inner guidance will be speaking to you through that which you desire, not that which you deny in yourself. The only way to be truly helpful is to be at one with your true will. And then you will be truly helpful. You will be guided. You will be a healer. You will know what to do, but it'll feel good to do those things. It'll be self-interest that does those things, and everybody will win. If you're being altruistic, nobody wins. They may seem to win in the short term, but ultimately nobody wins, because it's a house built on the true desires of your heart. It's a house built on rock. Thank you so very much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.